Shalom. I'm Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. This week's Torah reading, Parsha Chukat, contains a very important message, a message for how we should run our lives day by day. All too often, we're complaining. We're complaining about, I don't have enough money. I don't like this food. I don't like what my neighbor's doing. I don't like my neighbor's opinions. I don't like this. I don't like that. Constant complaining. Well, here we have the Jews in the desert, the children of Israel, wandering 40 years in the desert. And during that time, it was amazing. God protected them. There were snakes in the desert. God didn't let them be bitten by snakes. There was heat and cold. God protected them from the heat and cold. The food, they were given the manna which tasted like whatever they wanted it to taste like. If they wanted it to taste like a cucumber, it tasted like a cucumber. If they wanted it to taste like a steak, it tasted like a steak. They had water. They had the well of Miriam that followed them, traveled with them throughout the whole desert, throughout the whole journey. And yet, here we are, almost ready to go into the land of Israel. And God tells them, don't go this way, go around, because the nation of Sichon won't let you pass through their land. So they had to take a little detour. They complained about that. They complained about Moses. They complained about God. They said Lashon Hora. Lashon Hora, talking negatively about somebody else, or even talking, inferring bad things about somebody. And then they said, they complained again. We don't like the food we're eating. We're starving. They had all the food they wanted with the manna. Yet we don't like it. It's disgusting food. We have no food. We have no water. We'd have been better off in Egypt. Why'd you bring us out? Constant complaining. So after all these sets of complaints, God gives them a punishment. And the punishment is an unusual punishment. The punishment was God sent snakes, poisonous snakes, to bite them. First of all, that was an unusual occurrence because up until that point, although there were snakes all around them in the desert, nobody was ever bitten by a snake because God protected them. God removed the protection and punished them with being bitten by snakes. And even more strange is normally when the Jewish people sinned, they would turn to Moses and say, please, pray to God for our recovery. Pray to God to forgive us for what we've done. In this case, they needed something besides prayer. So God told Moses, I want you to build a likeness of a snake, but make it out of a copper snake, and mount it on a tall pole, and there will be a miracle within a miracle. First of all, the snakes will see that and stop biting. And secondly, when the people need a healing from the deadly poison, they have to look up at the snake. They have to look up at the snake, and then they will be healed. That kind of a refuah, a remedy for illness, doesn't appear anywhere else. And the problem was they're complaining about nothing, baseless complaints. And the reason for this punishment of the snakes is because of those complaints. Why a snake? We know from the story of the Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, that the snake is the root of all evil. The snake is the root of the sin of Lashon Hara, of speaking falsely, speaking negatively, because the snake told Chava, look, God told you not to touch the tree, touch it, you'll see nothing happens. Well, that wasn't what was said. Here, the people are complaining and saying Lashon Hara. The snake was punished in the Garden of Eden by God telling the snake, you will crawl on your belly and you'll get your food from the dust. And God said to the snake, I don't want to hear from you anymore. I don't want to hear your complaints. So here, the Jewish people had now fallen to the level of the snake, where they could only complain and God didn't want to hear from them. So they had to look at the snake, at the copper snake, to be cured. The point of looking at this snake was to remember that what they had done was no better than what a snake does. A snake, although the snake has food available on the ground, the snake bites everybody. Anybody that steps on it is going to be bitten by the snake for no reason. The snake doesn't do it for food. All the other animals, when a lion kills something, a wolf kills something, it's to eat. They don't just kill for no reason. The snake kills for no reason. Here too, the Jewish people were complaining for no reason. They had everything and they didn't appreciate it. How often do we fall in that same situation where we have so much around us, so many blessings, and we look for the one thing that makes us feel we don't have everything. There's more that we could have. So they're punished by looking at the snake to remind them of the snake, but on top of that, to remember that by looking up towards heaven, looking up towards where God is, recognizing that God not only brings the illness, not only brings everything that happens in this world, good or bad, but God also provides the healing for those things that are bad. And that's what we had to realize. We had to understand that everything that happens is ultimately for our good. And if it's for our good, we must constantly thank God for it. We must always recognize that God is giving all of us that which we are entitled to. The Mishnah and the Ethics of the Fathers says, Ezeu Osher Hasumeach Bechelko. Who is wealthy? The answer is the person who is satisfied with his lot in life. More than that, more than being satisfied with your lot in life and thanking God for that every moment of the day, not thinking that, all of that I have, it's Kochi v'atzmi says that. My powers did this. Nothing to do with God. I did it all. No. Everything that happens is from God. But more than that same sentence, Ezehu Asher, who is wealthy, Hasumeach Bechelko, not only should you be satisfied with your lot, but you should be happy with what your neighbor has. When your neighbor gets a brand new car, don't be jealous and say, well, why does he have that car? I work much harder than him. I should have. No. Be happy. Be happy for your neighbor getting the car. Be happy for what your neighbor has. And if you go through life that way, you won't fall into the trap of being like a snake, because you will constantly be appreciative of what God gives to us. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a wonderful Shabbat, and a Shabbat where we enjoy the beauty that God is giving us with this gift of Shabbos. of total rest and of time to get away from the travails of the world. Shabbat Shalom.